Act 4. Midnight. Henry's laboratory. Higgins, Pickering, and Eliza return from the party. It's late in the evening. The men are delighted with the great success that they have had that day in passing off Eliza as a great duchess at an ambassador's garden party. They are extremely proud about themselves, about their success of the experiment, and they totally ignore Eliza. Eliza becomes more and more frustrated as they didn't even pay attention to her and praised her for her role in their triumph. And Higgins was complaining about not being able to find his slippers. He does not even observe Eliza retrieving them and placing them directly by him. So she controls her anger as Higgins and Pickering exit. And Higgins then again comes back looking for the slippers. Then Eliza, throws the slippers at him with all her might. She tells that Higgins is selfish and she asks about herself. What has happened to her? So Higgins tries to convince her that everything is okay. Everything is only her imagination and she should go to bed. Then Higgins gradually understands that Eliza is concerned about her, economic position because she cannot go back to selling flowers. Now she is a lady now, so there is no future for her. Now what she can only do is that a marriage to a rich man is the only solution. So Eliza is so much concerned about herself that what will happen to her after the experiment is over. Where is her future? But Higgins cannot see that as a problem and tells her that all her clothes, whatever she has been wearing belongs to her. Then Eliza infuriates Higgins by rejecting him, giving him back the rendered jewels she wears and a ring he had bought for her. So he angrily throws the ring in the fireplace and storms out. So in the next important optional scene, Eliza has left Higgins' home and comes upon Freddie, who was infatuated with the former flower girl. At the first act we saw that Freddie collided with Eliza and her flowers got damaged. Now he has been spending most of his nights gazing up at Eliza's window. They fall into each other's arms, they kiss passionately. Then Eliza suggests for a drive to get into a taxi and drive all night. And she also decides to call Mrs. Higgins in the morning and ask her what to do now. That means what she should do for her future. There ends Act 4. Now Act 5. Next day, Mrs. Higgins' drawing room. Henry and Pickering arrive and they calls the police to tell about Eliza's disappearance. But Eliza is already upstairs and Mrs. Higgins wants the chambermaid to tell Eliza not to come down. Now Mrs. Higgins scolds Henry and Pickering for their childishness, for ignoring Eliza. she tells about their careless manner, how inappropriately they treated Eliza. Then Alfred Doolittle, Eliza's father, arrives there. He enters, dressed up like a bridegroom, but in an agitated state, with a lot of complaints or accusations at Higgins. So we already know that Higgins gave some money to Alfred Doolittle, and his lady companion will now marry him, but still he is in a very poor state, very miserable state, because before getting the money from Henry Higgins, he could ask for money to anyone. Mm. Uh, but now, what happened is that now he's in a very normal or a very good looking style. So, and people think that he has become rich. Now, everyone comes to him demanding for favors and financial support. So now there are two people whose life got changed because of Henry Higgins, and they are in trouble too. And at this point, Mrs. Higgins calls Eliza, thus revealing that she is upstairs. So Mrs. Higgins criticizes Henry for his unthoughtful behavior. He was not at all concerned about her well-being. What would happen to her after the experiment? Now Elisa enters. She is okay. She's politely cool towards Henry. She thanks Pickering for all the support, for all the respect he has shown towards her since their first meeting. It was Henry Higgins who has always been totally ignoring her. But Pickering showed some respect, calling her Miss Doolittle, removing his hat, opening doors. And she tells that it is not about transforming from a flower girl to a lady that matters. It is all about how others treat, people. That's all that matters in this world. And now she realizes that how she has been treated by especially Henry Higgins. And now Alfred Doolittle comes. Father and daughter are reunited, and all the characters except Henry, they leave to see Doolittle married. Now, after that, Eliza and Higgins are left alone. Higgins argues that he didn't treat Eliza poorly because she was a flower girl, and it's not because she was a flower girl. He treats everyone equally, in the same way. So he defends his behavior by attacking this traditional social graces as absurd. And after that, Eliza tells that Higgins gave no thought to her future, and she will marry Freddie and support herself by teaching phonetics, perhaps assisting Nepomuk. Now Higgins grows very angry at Eliza and lays his hands on her. He quickly regrets doing so, and now very proud and appreciates Eliza for her newfound independence. So Higgins now is cheerfully assuring that Eliza will continue to manage everything, um, to manage his household details as she had done during her days of instruction with him. Higgin laughs to himself at the idea of Eliza marrying Freddie as a play, ends. Now let's look some of the questions relating to this play. First question. Shaw's play dealing with the transformation of an impoverished, illiterate and neglected London girl into a fashionable lady is Pygmalion. Second question. Eliza Doolittle is a character in Shaw's play of 5 acts, Pygmalion. Third question. The 1964 musical film adaptation of Shaw's Pygmalion is My Fair Lady. Next question. In which play Shaw dramatizes the Greek myth of a sculptor who fell in love with an ivory statue which at his prayer was changed into a living woman? Pygmalion. Which play of Shaw was transformed into a movie? Pygmalion. The theme of which play of Shaw has been taken from Smollett's Peregrine Pickle? Pygmalion. Okay, so that's all about the play. Module 7, Basic Grammar, Prepositions. A preposition is a word placed before a noun or a pronoun to show its relation with the other part of the sentence. For example, he is in his room. The preposition in shows the relation between the subject he and his room. There are 3 kinds of prepositions: simple preposition, compound preposition, and phrase preposition. Simple prepositions are at, by, for, from, in, of, on, out, through, of, till, to, up, with, after, under. Compound prepositions are about, above, across, against, along, amidst, among, amongst, around, before, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, beyond, towards, within, without, underneath, inside, outside. Phrase prepositions: according to, along with, away from, because of, by means of, by way of, for the sake of, in addition to, in connection with, in the course of, in favor of, in front of, in place of, in spite of, on behalf of, owing to, with reference to, by virtue of, in accordance with, in behalf of, in case of, in order to, in the event of, on account of, owing to, with an eye to, with regard to. We'll be discussing more about prepositions in the coming classes. Thank you.